and welcome back to my channel. It is so great to have you here. I'm about to start reading for 24 hours straight. Don't ask me why. No, in reality, I do have a lot of books I really want to get through, and I am just in such a reading mood and have not had a lot of time recently to just sit down and read. So I figure this is probably a good excuse, a good way to make myself sit down and read. However, I will be sleeping, I will be making dinner, all of those kind of things in between. It is not going to be I'm staying up for 24 hours and reading for 24 hours because I cannot physically do that. However, I will be dedicating every spare minute I have to reading and seeing how many books I can realistically get through. So this is more what I realistically can read in 24 hours. I have quite a few books that I really want to get to, as I've said, and I'm in the middle of some incredible reads. I'm focusing on mainly fast-paced, addictive reads for this video, so I'm sure there'll be some good recommendations coming out of it if you need some. Basically how this works, it is currently 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday, and I will be stopping at 1 o'clock tomorrow on Monday. I am going to try and stay up a little bit later. I probably will read about until 11 o'clock. That's late for me. That's late for me. And then I do wake up quite early so I can get a lot read in the morning, and we'll just see how I go. I do feel like this is very long overdue. I've been wanting to do this for such a long time, and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. I'm completely overloaded in schoolwork. I am about to leave overseas in a week. I have so much to do, but this sounds better. This sounds better. So anyway, is this the smartest decision in the world? No. Am I going to get overtired and probably delirious but still have some incredible reading experiences? Yes. So anyway, I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. So as for what I'm currently reading, I'll give you a little bit of an update before I commence. I'm in the middle of 2 books, so we'll probably finish both of them, hopefully, in this 24-hour readathon. One is an audiobook. I'm kind of getting into audiobooks recently. I have never listened to an audiobook all the way through. I've only listened to it while also reading, while also listening, going back and forth, you know the drill. I am trying to at the moment, so I'll get into that in a sec. But I am currently reading Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the second book in the Natural series, which is quickly becoming one of my new YA obsessions. If you don't know, the Natural series is basically a YA Criminal Minds series. We're following a group of teenagers who all have very special abilities that are very useful to FBI agents. So for example, our main protagonist, she's a profiler. She can read people, know a lot about their lives just from looking at them, how they act. We also someone who can detect lies, someone who can read emotions really well. It's really fun. They all just basically have these natural abilities that when you come by them, you recruit them to the FBI apparently. And they all have quite a traumatic past, so there's kind of a sense of found family being formed between them, and it is so great. So they basically just help out in FBI cases. They help out in cold cases and active cases, and then there's kind of this bigger case that is going on in the background throughout the entire series. It is a 4-book series, I believe, and I am loving it so far. I am 63% through this book, so I'll probably finish Killer Instinct in this video. Well, I definitely will. This is what I'm going to start reading in a second. And then the audiobook I am listening to is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Emily recommended that I listen to this as an audiobook because we are basically following 2 women who are birthday twins. They randomly meet when they're both out for birthday on their 45th birthday and realize that they had the exact same birthday date. They were born in the same hospital, in the same town, and they're like, this is a crazy coincidence. One of our protagonists has a podcast where she kind of interviews very strong women and tells their life stories. And so they decide, why don't we start a podcast together? I feel like this could be a really interesting premise. We both have the same birthday. We'll just go from there. It is a really interesting premise, and the reason it is so great to listen to as an audiobook is because they have little intros. Every time there's a podcast that they're listening to or an interview happening, it's like a little intro into the interview. It's like you're watching the news or listening to a podcast. It's just so immersive and so great, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's definitely got me gripped. I am only about 30% through it though, and I'm listening to it at quite a slow speed. I'm just listening to it at the normal speed, as I know most people listen to it at 2 times speed, but my brain can't deal with that. So I'm just listening to it at my own pace, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I feel like there is a lot of plot twists about to happen. It's a thriller, by the way. I don't know if I said that before, but I feel like there's a lot that can happen, a lot that's going to happen. So anyway, I'm going to sit down. I don't know whether I'll listen to an audiobook at the moment or read. We'll just see what I'm in the mood for. And then I probably have a little bit more study to do, and then I can read for the rest of the night. So, good things. There's so much that could happen right now. There has been some twists that have definitely caught me, that I definitely was not expecting. I'm loving our characters even more. That's what I'm loving so much. I love getting to know Sloane more. I think she is an absolute sweetheart and she's so cute and so geeky. I love it. I have a few theories for what is going to happen. It is quite an intricate case. Everything just keeps happening. And I have a few theories, but we'll see if they're correct. I really enjoyed it. Oh my gosh, it was so good. It's left so many possibilities for the next book and I'm definitely very curious to go into it. I'm going to be finishing this series soon. I know I am. It's just so easy and fast-paced and addictive and you want to know what's going on. As I've said many a time before, any of my Criminal Minds fans, like this is for you. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I did think it is very YA, and I did guess, as you probably saw, the plot twist towards the end, but there were a few that definitely caught me off guard. But yeah, the main plot twist I did guess, but when it's a YA book, I don't really care that much. Like, I'm reading this for joy and entertainment and fun, and so when I figure it out, I'm not devastated. It's not like when I'm reading a Freya McFadden book and I guess the plot twist and then I'm like, well great, what do I do now? It's like a 3.75 or a 4 stars. Somewhere in between there. Like, it was so good. It's definitely not a favorite, but it was so good and easy and fast paced and there wasn't a lot I can fault. It just felt quite young to me. I said this in a past video, but if 14-year-old me had read this series, I would have been like absolutely obsessed. It would have been my entire personality. I would have been the most annoying kid to talk to because all I would be thinking about is the Naturals and the Natural series and thinking that that's where my life would take me. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really good. I do really recommend. Also, today we hit 100k on TikTok. Thank you so much. It's actually crazy that I can do this and I can talk to you all about the books I'm reading, what I'm enjoying, recommend them to you, and then be able to talk to you about them. I can't believe, like, a year ago me would literally just be baffled at that this is my reality. And that I have 100,000 of you following me, being intrigued about what I'm reading and taking my recommendations and reading them yourselves. Like, it's just, oh, I'm so thankful for every single one of you. So if you follow me over there, thank you so much. And even if you're here, thank you so much for supporting me. After that little sentimental detour, I need to figure out what I'm going to read next. I don't know if I think I'll listen to the audiobook for a little bit of None of This Is True, and then I'll pick a next read. So hang on, I'm going to come back. I'm going to pick my potential next reads. I went through my physical TBR and I do want to read something off my physical TBR instead of my Kindle because I'm going traveling next week. Well, almost next week. A week from tomorrow, I am leaving to Japan, and obviously I'm just going to be taking my Kindle because it's overseas and I want to take as little as possible. So I'm going to be reading everything on my Kindle for 2 weeks. So I want to get through my physical TBR while I can. So I have a few options. The fantasy romance that I'm very intrigued with is The Crimson Moth. This is actually an ARC edition, that's why it looks a bit different, but it is only 400 pages. Okay, it's a little longer than I thought, but the text is very big, and I feel like I could get through it quite easily. I'm very intrigued by this. It says on the back, she's his sworn enemy and his ultimate weakness. Prepare for the most sizzling romantasy of 2024, The Crimson Moth. So that's pretty much all it says on the back, but Rebecca Ross reviewed it and said she loved it, which I love Rebecca Ross. I feel like I need to read it. I'm really intrigued. So I feel like that's a very good possibility. The sci-fi I have is Whisper by Lynette Noni. I've read a few of Lynette Noni's books and I absolutely love them. This is, as I said, a sci-fi book. So basically I think it's a girl who's been experimented on and locked away for 2.5 years. And I believe she can't speak. I think that is her issue. I'm not entirely sure, but I've heard incredible things about this book and I am very intrigued. It's been on my TBR for a little while now, a few months. And I do want to get to it very soon. I then have Lucky Hit by Hannah Cohen. This is like a really quick, oh, it's not that quick, it's 320 pages. Penguin kindly sent this book to me and I believe it releases very soon, if not has released by the time this video comes out. I believe it is in the first in like a series that's going to be started as well, but it does sound really interesting. A quick, fun, enemies to lovers romance, hockey romance. I love a good hockey romance. Hockey romance are definitely my favorite sport romance. I kind of feel like I'm in the mood for a romantasy. I'm going towards the Crimson Moth. I feel like this has been on my like TBR for such a long time, and I'm just really, really intrigued by it now. Let's do something a little bit more challenging. Romantasy, it's not that much more challenging, it's just a fantasy world, that's the only aspect. Anyway, let's sit down and read this. It is currently 6:39 and I have read quite a bit more. I'm actually very happy with my progress. Whilst we made dinner and had a shower and everything, I've been listening to the audiobook of None of This Is True, and things are getting intense. Things are getting a bit weird. Our characters are doing weird things. My theories are definitely flying everywhere and I'm not really sure where they're going to land. Honestly, I feel like I have this one theory, but it just seems like too simple for it to actually happen. As I said, I really, really like the audiobook for this because it is so like interactive and really feels like you're listening to a true crime case or something, and I just love that. And for my physical book progress, I'm reading The Crimson Moth, as we saw earlier, and I am liking this so much more than I thought. It is so much easier to read than I thought. It's giving chick flick, but in a fantasy setting, if you know what I mean. There's really not that much to wrap your head around. I'm already over 100 pages in, and the only thing you kind of need to know about this book is that we are following witches, and witches are basically forbidden. Like, if you're a witch, you're going to be executed in this world, and our love interest is a witch hunter. So immediately we've got that kind of natural enemy trope going on, but it's very fast moving, very addictive. I'm just going to keep reading this, honestly. It's a really, really easy book to get through. As I said, I expected a lot more politics and magic in this, but really it's just the witches. But amazing, amazing atmosphere. Like, we've got balls going on, we've got fashion, suspense. It's honestly so great, and some amazing characters so far. So I'm really, really liking this. So much more than I thought I was going to be. I feel like I always judge books and have an idea of whether I'm going to like them or not before I go in, even though I try not to. So about 6 hours in, I have read about 40% of Killer Instinct and finished that. I've listened to probably about 30% more of None of This Is True and absolutely loving that. And I am so far 100 pages into The Crimson Moth. So we're going on a good roll. We're on a good roll. And I may start another like romance on my Kindle just so I can read in bed a lot easier and read as soon as I wake up in the morning. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Just quickly, I didn't really like our male love interest, and now if acts of service are your thing, read this. It's making me giggle, it's giving me butterflies. It literally feels like reading a rom-com in a fantasy setting. So if that's your kind of vibe and you need like a brainless fantasy read this. This book is so addictive. Oh my gosh. I'm at page 220 already. I'm over halfway through, and I just can't stop reading. It is literally so good. It is so addictive. As I said before, it's literally like a rom-com but in a fantasy setting, and I love that. We're following a witch and a witch hunter. Like, how is this book not more talked about? It is a very new release. It only released in February, so I kind of get it, but it is so good. Like, all my romantasy girls, you need to read this. It is a bit of a slow burn. It does take a bit of time, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's enemies to lovers. It's more like designed enemies, like they're meant to be enemies, but that's not really working out for them. I'm loving all of our characters as well. Like, they're so lovable. And I just, oh my god. I just can't believe I've read so much already. It is not even 8 o'clock. It's only just before 8. So we'll see if I finish it tonight. I really didn't expect to be finishing it tonight. I am already very tired. And I do have a headache, so we'll see how I go. But I haven't listened to any of my other audiobook. I've literally just been reading this whole time and loving it. I don't know what else to say. I'm loving it. You get the idea. triangle going on, and I don't know who I'm rooting for. When does that happen? When do you like both guys? That never happens. Yes, we have moved locations, but oh my gosh. This is giving Cassandra Clare love triangle vibes because I'm so close to finishing, and I don't know which love interest I'm rooting for. Do you know how rarely that happens? I always know what love interest I'm rooting for, and right now I don't. I really don't. They're both great, and this book is so good. This book is so good. Okay, I'm gonna finish it now, but like, Cassandra Clare girlies, go read this. I finished. I have so many questions. This better be part of a series, is my first statement. This better be part of a series, because the ending that this left on and the things that happened in the last 10 pages of this book have kind of broken my heart, and I need to know what happens next. And this book only just came out, so the next books in the series are probably not going to come out for a long time. I'm not doing well, in case you could tell. I loved this book. This book was so good, and I literally went in with little to no expectations of liking it. So I feel like going in with low expectations is a good idea, because it's probably not anything crazy. I'm just a little tired now and kind of shocked about how good this was. The same kind of feel as Fourth Wing, in the sense that romance is very, very heavy, prevalent part of the plot. There's a lot of action goes on, a lot of plot twists, competing sides, all that kind of stuff. And Cassandra Clare-ish, in the sense that it's like kind of a historical fantasy in a way. Don't let that put you off. It's not historical fantasy. It's just take Bridgerton, put witches in it, and then add that kind of sense of Cassandra Clare, and that's what this book is. Like, we have suitors, we have going to balls, we have incredible dresses. It's just so much fun. And I can't believe I haven't seen anyone talk about this before. As I said, I know it's new, but it's so good, and I think everyone should read this. Every romantasy fan should read this. Anyway, obsessed. I think I'm gonna give it a 4.75. That's so high, but I think it deserves it. I'll reevaluate in the morning when I'm a little bit more sound of mind, but I think a 4.75 is pretty fair. So this was 400 pages, just over. It is now 9:30. Finished half a book, read one book, and now I'm gonna listen to my audiobook because I can't read right now. My eyes aren't working. I don't know how late I'll stay up tonight, or if I'll just get up early tomorrow and read. I kind of prefer to do that, if I'm honest. And I don't know what I'll read next. Whether I'll read like just a cute little romance on my Kindle, whether I'll read one of my physical books, maybe in the mood for a fun little cute romance. I don't know, we'll see. But for now, I'm gonna go listen to my audiobook that is quite intense, and I'm gonna make a tea to kind of, I don't know, make myself sleepier, but also revitalize myself a little bit. I'm just still in shock about this book, and the fact that I read it so quickly and couldn't put it down. It was so addictive. I'm just gonna go make like an Instagram post about how all of you need to read this. It is 9 in the morning. We officially only have a few hours left of this challenge, and I have been reading as much as possible, I guarantee you. I did sleep though. I did sleep and I was absolutely exhausted and I knocked out straight away. But I have made some progress in my books that I'm reading. So, as for the audiobook that we already know I'm reading, I am very, very close to finishing it. I have literally been listening to it at every single waking moment. I've been cleaning my teeth, making breakfast, making a tea, doing my makeup, every single thing, I've been listening to it. And it is getting so bizarre. I literally don't know how it's going to go from here. I am very, very confused. I just feel like there's so many possibilities, and our characters are honestly so weird that like anything could happen. And I just feel like the reason I'm so addicted to it, it is so kind of rich people drama, or like class drama, if that makes sense. Like, it's just things that could actually happen in real life, and it just makes you go like, what the actual hell is going on? So for that reason, I'm just like so addicted to it, and I really just want to know what happens. So I'll probably finish that relatively soon. I'll update you though. As for the other book that I started, so obviously I finished The Crimson Moth, which I absolutely loved. Go read it. Still love it this morning. I've kind of evaluated everything and it is still great, still a really easy read. But I am currently reading Behind the Net, which is a just fun little hockey romance. And I'm very glad I picked it up. I'm reading it on my Kindle, so I could just like read it in bed and read it at night. I'm about 20% in so far because it is about a 500-page book, so it will take me a little bit longer. But basically, it is a hockey romance. Our main protagonist, Jamie, I think his name is. I think it is. I'm terrible with names. Me just putting down the book and suddenly forgetting what the name is. He is a hockey player and has been relocated to a city so that he can help support his mum, but also still play hockey, still live out his dreams. And then we are also following Piper, who... Piper. It's one of them. I'm so bad. I'm so out of it. But we are following her and she is in search of a job. She really, really needs a job. She's crashing with her sister at the moment. She's very low on money and she just wants to have a sense of stability. Fair enough. So she is taking a job as an assistant and she gets appointed to Jamie's assistant. She just kind of helps like walk his dog, do chores around his house, look after everything while he's gone away in matches and stuff. And I'm already loving it. The twist is though, they knew each other back in high school and they're kind of too scared to say to each other that they knew each other because they think both of them have forgotten about each other, if that makes sense. But I'm really enjoying it. I really, really like it so far. I originally thought it was like set in high school and I was like, but when it's like out of high school, I don't know, it's giving like The Right Move vibes. And if you know me, The Right Move is like one of my all-time favorite sports romance. I'm actually obsessed with that book. Ryan Shea, just Ryan Shea. Anyway, I'm really, really enjoying it. I feel like I'm going to speed through it. We'll see if I finish it before, I feel like I will. I'm going to try finish it before this vlog finishes. As I said, it is currently 9. I have been doing little chores here and there, but trying to listen to as much and read as much as possible. So I have a few hours left. I'll keep you updated. I do have to study, but I'll try and push it back until I finish this challenge. We'll see how my mental side goes because I freak myself out when I don't study, and I know I need to. I am 50% in to Behind the Net and I'm absolutely loving it. It's so addictive, it's so fun, it's very much giving like The Right Move, Mile High, Windy City series vibes, except it's not like a millionaire. He's just like a semi-wealthy kind of player, which I kind of like. It's a nice change. It's more realistic and kind of, you know, you can apply it to your everyday life rather than like meeting a millionaire and falling in love with them and them sharing with you gifts is not necessarily realistic. Anyway, I like a realistic romance. They're fun. They're good. So I'm really, really enjoying it. It is 11 o'clock. I've had like a doctor consult, so that kind of took a little bit of time away, but not too much. And I am very close to finishing my audiobook. I feel like so much can go down from here. I literally have like a few chapters left and I'm just like, what the hell is going to happen? Anyway, that's my update. I will say Behind the Net, I'm loving the fact that like both our characters have a lot of personality and have their interests, have their loves that they like to do. It's not just about the girl like helping the main protagonist, the main love interest. She actually has like ambitions with her life. She has dreams she wants to do. Also, our main guy protagonist, his mum is like the sweetest person. She's tugging on my heartstrings, and I reckon that's a reason I'm going to really like this. There is also a sequel after this, which I mean, I'm excited about. I've got a feeling I might like only just finish it or be like about to finish it when this video ends. And if that's the case, I'm just gonna finish it and tell you that I went a little bit over time to finish it because I really want to know what happens. And then I'll be doing homework all afternoon because pretending I don't have priorities so I can do a 24-hour readathon, obviously. I can't stop reading this book. There's something in this that just I can't stop reading it. If you're in a book slump, I feel like I found some amazing books actually in this video. If you're in a book slump, you need to read because I'm actually shocked at how good these are. Jamie is like my new favorite book boyfriend. He's giving Ryan Shea vibes, like so reserved, so quiet, but has such a soft spot and does all these little things for her that is like, it's just acts of service get me every time. I tell you what, I really, really recommend this book. It's really, really good, except, oh my god, so much more spice than I was thinking. I mean, like, I don't mind spice, but there's just a lot more than I thought in this book. My loves, I have done it. It is officially, okay, you can't see this very well, but it is 1:05. I have read for 24 hours straight as much as I possibly can. And I would deem this very, very successful considering the fact that we got 4 books finished. I know I was in the middle of one, but I still like read 3 books basically. I read Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Absolutely loved it. It's the second book to the Natural series and loved it so much more than I expected to. It's a YA thriller series, very, very similar to Criminal Minds. So if you like Criminal Minds, I feel like you'll love this. It's just in a YA setting. I gave this book a 3.75 stars just because it was really, really good. And on Goodreads, I'll give it a 4 stars. I'll round it up. It was really good, but it just didn't give me that like 5-star feel or even like 4.5-star feel. I was just kind of like, I'm enjoying myself, but this is nothing absolutely incredible. However, I do have high hopes for the next books in the series. I think they get really, really good. The Crimson Moth. And I absolutely love this book. I thought it was so good. It was so fast paced. I couldn't put it down. I gave this a 4.5 stars. Originally it was a 4.75, rounded it down to a 4.5. Oh my gosh, this was good. Fast paced, easy to read, easy to understand. I literally couldn't get enough of it. I then listened to None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. The most mind-boggling thriller. Like, it starts out really chill and then there's a few things that happen and you're like, oh, that's a bit sus, that's a bit sus. And then by the end, you're just thinking, did I even know these characters? Who are these characters that are in this book right now? So much manipulation, so many lies covered. I've never read about a podcast duo before. I liked how, like, as the story progressed, you kind of started noticing all these little Easter eggs. Really, really enjoyed it. I gave this a 4 stars. I loved it. I loved it. I definitely recommend listening to the audiobook as well. It's very, very good. And then lastly, I read and only just finished on time. I finished like 5 minutes ago. Behind the Net, and I really, really enjoyed it. Oh my gosh, it was so much spicier than I originally thought, and then the cover let on. I should have known. It was kind of icebreaker vibes, if you know what I mean. Except this time we're not like in college, we're like actually out in the real world, which I really, really like. I've been really liking more mature protagonists these days in my romance books, even though I'm 20. I'm not that mature at all, but you know, I've been enjoying that, so that's what I've been reading. If you like the Windy City series, I feel like you'll really, really love this series. The cover gives off icebreaker vibes, and that's what I thought I was going into. But then I started reading it, I was like, oh, actually, no, these guys are mature. Then maybe there won't be much spice, or like maybe it'll be more of a slow burn. No, not really. This is like a forced proximity kind of fake dating scenarios. But I really loved the characters. I loved the mum. She is such a little sweetheart. And I just really like the fact that it dealt with so many real life issues as well. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I love it when romance books integrate some real life problems that people deal with, that people go through in every day, and it makes you feel seen while you're reading these like fun little books. It makes you feel a little bit more understood, and I really, really like it when there's just that easy representation in characters, and I think there should be a lot more of that, whether it's chronic illness representation, whether it's mental health, learning disabilities, all that kind of stuff. I think it should be so much more common in romance books and integrated into them, because I really, really appreciate it when that kind of stuff happens, because it makes me feel seen, and I'm sure it makes so many other people feel seen. So absolutely love that. Despite the fact that it's like 500 pages, I think it was, or just under, it's really easy to read. Like, you speed through it. So in saying that, I gave it a 4 stars as well. Been giving out 4 stars all the time recently, but I feel like it deserved it. It was really, really good. I had a good time reading it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it fun. And let me know if you've read any of these books, what you think of them. And thank you so much for watching again. I'll see you soon in one of my newest videos.